Hello everyone and welcome back to another video with On Point Politics, your number one stop for all things politics, election results, election analysis, and much other things. And today we're just going to be going over the inauguration of President Donald Trump, an overview of the 2024 election. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to go ahead and hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. The major topics today are going to be the overview of the 2024 election. We have the inauguration of President Donald Trump. We also have a lot of the executive orders that he signed and also covering the TikTok ban as well. So we're going to get started over here. The 2024 United States presidential election held on November 5th was a historic and contentious event that resulted in former President Donald Trump defeating incumbent Vice President Kamala Harris. This victory marked Trump as the second president in U.S. history to serve non-consecutive terms following Grover Cleveland. So the candidates were Donald Trump, with J.D. Vance being his vice presidential pick, a U.S. senator from Ohio. On the Democratic ticket, you had Kamala Harris. She was the Democrat nominee after President Biden withdrew from the race in July of 2024. She selected Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, as her running mate. And this election was really interesting because, like I had been saying, I had expected Donald Trump to win for quite a while. The economy was not in great shape. Inflation was at an all-time high. You also had the political persecution of Donald Trump being a major issue on the campaign for President Biden and Kamala Harris because a majority or a large plurality of voters and a lot of polling found that the political prosecution or the indictments of Donald Trump were politically founded and weren't exactly founded in a sense of real justice. And so this kind of made the threat to democracy for the Democrats. That issue looked really bad for them at the end of the day. And so that really hurt their campaign in a lot of these like blue city areas. Hispanics definitely moved the most to the right out of any demographic that you've seen in quite a long time. And this is the first election in about almost 100 years where every single county that Donald Trump won or that the candidate who lost. So basically, this is the first election in a long time where the party who lost the election the previous time didn't lose any counties at all. Donald Trump retained every single county that he won from 2020 until now, which is historic because usually you'd get a couple counties, even in like a landslide year. Even Reagan lost counties that he won in 1980 to Walter Mondale. But that's not what happened. Donald Trump held on to every single county that he won in the previous election cycle. And what we're going to see here, play cut one, just pull up cut one really quick. What you're going to see on this map here, this is the election results from the 2024 election. And you can see Donald Trump flipped the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. And for historical standards, you have all these people on Twitter saying, oh, this wasn't a landslide for Donald Trump. Oh, this was such a, barely won the popular vote. Oh, he got less than 50%. But in reality, compared to 20 years ago, the country's way less white. There's a lot more African Americans, Hispanics, Asian Americans, even compared to just 20 years ago. Donald Trump is a candidate that's faced scrutiny like no other general nominee has before. Political indictments, 2 impeachments, being dragged through the media every single day of his political career. And not only did he win, he actually won convincingly and did better than his 2016 performance and still won the popular vote despite all odds. And the Democrats still had a pretty high turnout operation. Kamala Harris only did 6 million votes worse than Joe Biden. And so all these Democrats saying, oh, it was low turnout, we'll do better next time, is not really a good argument because she only got 6 million less. If you saw an election where, like, if Biden had only gotten like in the mid 60s, I would have said, okay, that's fine. They're probably going to do a lot better next time just because Biden was just so historically bad. But with Kamala Harris, they still did terrible despite her having decent turnout in the swing states. And a lot of people said, well, the swing states were still really, really close, even though some other states move right. Guys, it's because money's being spent in these states. A lot of campaign events are being held. And so when states face that kind of scrutiny, they shift less to the right in a year where like every single state shifted Republican except the first district of Nebraska. You're literally seeing a lot of these swing states where there was a lot of, campaign and media attention into, you're seeing them shift less Republican on average than some of the other states. It's funny because Arizona, Kamala Harris gave up on that state in like September or October. And funny enough, that was actually Trump's best state. If you want to actually go ahead and pull up the state of Arizona really quick, you can go, it's on the left right there towards the bottom right here, Arizona. So this was really interesting because if you actually go to Phoenix there, you'll actually see that Maricopa County, this is the big county that decided the election in Arizona. This has about 40% of the state's vote. Basically, whichever way Maricopa goes, the state will more than likely break. And not only did Donald Trump win it back, he won it back convincingly. I mean, back in 2020, Joe Biden won the county by about 2 points. And right now, he won it by a whopping 3 points. It was basically like the exact opposite margin, but an even wider margin than Joe Biden beat Donald Trump. And so because of this, Donald Trump actually performed way better in Arizona than most people did. A lot of people thought there was like an anti-Trump Republican vote in the state. But in reality, what actually fueled this win was Hispanic voters. And that's why states like Texas, if you want to go ahead and pull up Texas really quick, we could see that too. And this was crazy because if you see on the left, pull up shift from 2020, it's going to be on the left. Look at the southern border counties there. Those southern border counties have a lot of Hispanics that have been moving towards Donald Trump. And this is the area where the border wall is. And this shows that Donald Trump's strategy of appealing to voters that actually care about immigration as an issue worked for the GOP. The Democrats have this idea, Hispanic voters, actually, they don't like it when illegal immigrants are treated badly and all this kind of stuff. But in reality, they actually like a president or a candidate that's actually going to stand up for American citizens. Now, to caveat that, a lot of these voters in the southern border of Texas have been here for like 200 years. They identify more American than they do even per se, as their original, ethnicity. But if you actually want to pull up Florida, this is something really interesting. Miami, if you pull this up and click the shift from 2020 as well, and go to Miami-Dade, you'll see it all the way at the bottom right. 19-point shift towards Donald Trump from the last cycle. And he won it by 11 points, guys. I said he was going to win it by like 8 or 9, and he won it by a whopping 11 points this cycle. That's an insane shift. But again, this has to do with the Hispanic vote really moving in his favor. And if you actually want to go to the county right below Orlando, you're going to see it right there. Osceola County, 15-point shift, and Donald Trump actually won it. This is really interesting because you had a lot of Democrat operatives saying, Donald Trump with the Madison Square Garden rally and Puerto Rico is garbage and this and that. Oh my God, that's going to ruin his campaign. He's going to lose Florida. Not only did he win Florida by 13 points, which everybody should have expected because I did. And if you had been watching my channel, you knew he was going to win Florida easily. It wasn't even a state that was even that contested. But when you look at the state, if you look at the county, this county is the most Puerto Rican county in the entire country. And not only did it shift right by 15 points, Donald Trump flipped it into the Republican column for the first time in literally like decades. The county has gone that way. I think the last time that county actually ended up going into the Republican column was all the way back in 2004 when Bush won it by 5.5 points. So it's been a long time, and the county's gotten more Hispanic, and he still won it by a pretty decent amount against Kamala Harris. And so if you really zoom out of all this, so click the X, if you really just zoom out of all this and you look at the shifts, look at the Northeast. If you see all of that red all the way up there in the Northeast, all those arrows there that are really concentrated, that's all of the New Jersey and New York City area. Donald Trump had a very unique strength there this cycle. And Kamala Harris had a very bad Hispanic voter problem. That was her major issue this cycle. She had a major Hispanic voter problem that was only unique to her. Biden was going to do worse with everybody on the board. He probably actually would have done better with white voters. He just would have done a lot worse with Hispanics and blacks and all the other groups. But Kamala Harris herself has just a really bad track record with non-college whites and with Hispanic voters. That voter group for her is like electoral cancer. And one more thing before we move on. If you want to go to California, click the by winner all the way at the top first, and then click the state, and then click shift from 2020 again. If you're going to go ahead and do that, look at that county right there all the way at the bottom. All the way at the bottom. Imperial County, this is a 90% Hispanic county, guys. 90% Hispanic, and you have all these people on Twitter, oh my God, they're doomed. The Democrats are going to, keep expanding, a demographics or destiny or whatever they would say. Basically saying that they're going to dominate elections forever because the Hispanic vote is just going to get more blue. Well, if you look at that, not only did Donald Trump win this county, he shifted it 25 points from Joe Biden, who won it very convincingly. If you would have asked somebody, was Donald Trump going to flip this county? Everybody would have told you no, because it was such a massive win for Joe Biden the last cycle that everybody was just so convinced it wouldn't have flipped. Now, I suspected that a lot of the Hispanic areas would have shifted more Republican than some of the whiter areas, but nobody had this on their radar of Imperial County shifting 25 points to the right. So this is just to highlight that Hispanic voters this time around really came out for Trump. Biden won them by about 30-something points in 2020 nationwide. Harris only won them by 6, and that's the group that shifted to the right the most out of any group in the country. So that is a testament as to how much he really improved with that voter block and how that saved them big time in the general election. So click the X out, and we're going to be going ahead and just moving back to the regular camera here. So, guys, Donald Trump was just inaugurated. Everybody was excited about this. People were waiting for this for years. He finally got his opportunity to just go out there, really show his performance at the electoral level. And now he got inaugurated and he's vindicated. After everything he's been through, he finally was able to show off once and for all. And I'm going to go ahead and actually have you play this clip from Donald Trump right now. Go ahead and switch really quick. All right, go ahead and play the clip.
And my fellow citizens, the golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first.
All right, you can go ahead and stop that now, and then we can switch back really quick. So this is what people wanted. People were tired of the America Last agenda by President Biden, by Vice President Kamala Harris, opening the southern border to millions of illegals to come in, focusing on DEI, focusing on so many other things except the needs of Americans, the prices of goods, putting Americans first, making sure that you could actually attend to natural disasters, which in North Carolina, FEMA just was instructed to avoid houses that had Trump signs on them. Really shows you the real colors of all these people. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and play this other clip here that Trump kind of talks about some of his goals or the vision that he has for the country for the next few years. So go ahead and play the clip.
Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. Today, our government confronts a crisis of trust. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. First, I will declare a national emergency at our southern border. America's decline is over. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders male and female. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. And we have something that no other manufacturing nation will ever have, the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we are going to use it. And above all, China is operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China, we gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back. Launching American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars. A short time from now, we are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier. I'm pleased to say that as of yesterday, one day before I assumed office, the hostages in the Middle East are coming back home to their families. The golden age of America begins right now.
So you can go ahead and stop that now.
Just a few months ago.
Yeah, no, this is the vision that he has for the country. Go ahead and switch back really quick. This is the vision that he has for the country. He wants to move forward. He wants to be a peacemaker, but yet he still wants to really stick it to some people that he feels like are taking advantage of our country, especially the Panama Canal. That's definitely a really, really big deal. That is a huge problem that China is operating one of our areas where we do most of our trade. That's a huge issue. He's recognizing that there are only two genders. That's also a really good thing. And it's crazy that I even had to say that. I wouldn't have imagined as a little kid that I'd ever have to think about the U.S. government having to recognize only two genders. Like that would have never came across my mind when I was a little kid. That it's just absolutely insane that the country even got to this point. And it's such a blessing that Donald Trump just got elected, because if that hadn't happened, we would have just gone down an even worse path than generations to come. So that is definitely something. The vision that he has is he wants to stick it to people. He wants to expand, but yeah, he also wants to be a peacemaker and not start these endless foreign wars. And you have these people like Kyle Kalinske and all these people. Oh, you see, Donald Trump, I thought he said he wasn't going to start a new war. Now he's throwing the Panama Canal, and now he wants to take Canada. And he wants to take Greenland and And it's like, guys, like, he's not going to use the military, at least I think so, to take them over. He doesn't even need to use the military to take those over. We already have a base in Greenland already. We already have one there. Canada, we can use economic pressure to get them to join us if necessary. And now we also had President Trump label the cartels in Mexico as a foreign terrorist organization, which I think is the right move. They're bringing millions and millions of just a lot of drugs into the country, and it's killing people here. And they're the reason why the fentanyl crisis has gone absolutely bad here and is killing hundreds of thousands of people every year. So labeling them as a foreign terrorist organization, I think actually makes perfect sense. And we're going to go ahead and play the next clip here. This is President Trump signing a bunch of executive orders. So go ahead and play the clip.
You want to call it out? Do you want to say it? Do you want to say it?
Oh, if you want me to, sir.
Why don't you say what I'm signing?
Sure. The first item that President Trump is signing is the rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others. Thank you, sir. Thank you. The second item, President Trump, is a regulatory freeze, as you announced in your speech, preventing bureaucrats from issuing any more regulations until we have full control of this, the government and this administration.
So that is him in front of an entire crowd in Capital One Arena signing a bunch of executive orders. This is absolutely insane. And I'm going to have you go ahead and switch back as well. But this is absolutely insane that we have a president. Go ahead and switch back really quick. Please go ahead and switch back. This is absolutely insane that no president, he is the first. This is the first time in my lifetime that I've seen a president even like do this where he's just signing executive orders in front of everybody, in front of a crowd. And he just rescinded 78 era Biden era executive orders, which were destroying the country, opening up the border, allowing regulation like crazy to come into businesses and in the government, just all the bad things in government, all rescinded by one executive order by President Donald Trump. Because on day one, he said he wanted to make so much progress on day one, and he wants to have so much winning that you wouldn't even be able to process it. And we have a lot of wins here. Withdrawal from Paris Climate Accord, that is something really big that he signed. Rescinding diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, that's also a huge W that he did with a lot of his executive power yesterday. Redefinition of gender recognition, so only two genders, male and female, will be recognized by the U.S. government. Pardoning January 6 rioters. This is a clip that I want to play in a second. Border security enhancements, declaring a national emergency at the southern border, or authorizing the deployment of U.S. troops, directing the completion of the border wall, national energy emergency declaration. So Trump declared national energy emergency, aiming to expedite energy projects and reduce regulatory barriers to increase domestic energy production, and federal hiring freeze. So he basically froze all hiring of, bureaucrats and all that, excluding military personnel and positions related to national security and public safety. So that was basically that. He also had workers come back to the workplace. So he signed an executive order requiring federal government workers to come back to work. And you have a bunch of Democrat operators, oh my God, he's so anti-worker. And it's like, really? So because he wants everybody to come and work in the office, he's anti-worker? Like, it's just, their takes are getting so bad at this point that it's like just laughable. Like, their takes now are even worse than what they were before Donald Trump even just got elected, before he got inaugurated. Their takes are getting even worse. They're saying that Elon Musk, and actually, I'll have you look this up on the tab all the way at the left. I want you to go ahead and play this for me really quick before we go to the next clip. This is something that I just, to me, was so ridiculous. Go ahead and look up Elon Musk salute. I want you to go ahead and look that up if you can.
Yeah. And this was no ordinary victory. This was a fork in the road of human civilization. Okay. This there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, important, some are not. But this one this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
I think he did it already. Yeah. See, they cut away from him when he...
goes out to you.
I think he's going to do it again.
It is thanks to you.
Oh, I think he already does it in the clip, like when it cuts off. And then go to the right. I want to show you guys this. Like, you see the arrow all the way on the right side? Look at this. Look at that. So they're saying on CNN that, Elon Musk is a Nazi. He did the Roman salute. Oh my God, he is the devil. He's the world's absolute worst. And then you have images of Obama, of Stephen Colbert, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, and Elizabeth Warren doing the exact same thing. Obviously not with the intention of doing a salute. That's not the point of this. But the whole point is that the media is absolutely biased. It is disgusting how they cherry pick little things of people. Clearly, he didn't mean to do it, guys. He literally says, my heart goes out to you. And we're just going to say this. Elon Musk is a little bit awkward when it comes to political settings. He's not used to being in the setting. He's just used to being at Tesla, doing whatever the hell he wants. So he's not PR trained to be in politics like that. And so when he does something like that, even when I saw it, I was like, yeah, guys, he didn't mean to do that. But yet the media and all the Democrat operatives run with it because it's the best story that they could pick up. And of course, you have these pictures of Obama, Stephen Colbert, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, and Elizabeth Warren just going ahead and going crazy doing the Roman salute. But we'll go ahead and just move on to the next clip. Switch to one before you move on. So the next clip, I believe, is going to be Trump signing another executive order. This is the January 6th protester. So go ahead and actually switch over and we'll play the clip.
So this is January 6th. These are the hostages. Approximately 1,500 for a pardon.
Yes.
Full pardon.
Full pardon or commutations?
Full pardon.
So okay, so that's it for that, and then we'll switch back. So this is the thing, guys. I actually, to be completely honest, I started off with the notion of, oh, we kind of have to just figure it out case by case. You know, the violent ones shouldn't be pardoned, blah, blah, blah. That's how I started off. But as, you know, I was talking to Philip Anderson, and credit to him because he was going crazy on X, saying the craziest things. But he had a goal, and it worked, and he did it. And Donald Trump Jr., I think at some point in November or December, saw his tweets and said, hey, I understand, like, you know, we're going to make it happen. But of course, he was acting he was blackpilling really hard on purpose because he wanted to get the point across that these people had to be freed. And guys, these are not just random people. These are people with families. These are people with, you know, careers, with lives that were disrupted by the Department of Justice, where they got them and turned a little situation and blew it up and said they committed this, they committed that, they committed this crime, when they really didn't do all of that. The only person who was killed that day was Ashley Babbitt, who was a Trump supporter who got shot in the face. So no person who was defending the Capitol got hurt. And again, should people have gone inside? Not really. But at the end of the day, the Capitol Police did let everybody in at one point. So it's not like it was anybody's fault. They literally let people in at will because they realized they weren't going to be able to overcome the crowd. But at the same time, you also have Nancy Pelosi, who potentially didn't even actually have the 10,000 soldiers that President Trump requested to go to the Capitol. I don't think she actually approved that. And so where does the responsibility really lie? Does it lie with President Trump, who repeatedly said, we are a party of law and order, protest peacefully, you know, act with respect? Or is it really Nancy Pelosi, who decided to just not have the 10,000 National Guard soldiers show up to the Capitol to set up all of these people and put them in prison? And this was something I was even concerned about. I honestly didn't think he was going to pardon everybody. I think he had to commutate like 6 sentences. But at the end of the day, everybody's either getting a full pardon or they're getting sentences commutated, which is way better than I thought he was even going to do anyway. So I think even for, you know, regular Republicans, for Groypers, for independents who didn't like about January 6th, this is a massive win across the board for the former president. And I had said this. I had said if he did not go through with the January 6th pardons, it was going to affect any Republican nominee in 2028. And honestly, it's good for him that he did this, because if he hadn't done that, it could have ended up being a very, very big problem. But let's go ahead and play the next clip. Now, this is Trump talking about the cartels and what he's doing with them.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
That's a big one.
Yes, sir.
I think the media's
wanted
gonna
to do this for years.
Yeah, the media is gonna start asking the questions.
So they are now designated as terrorist organizations, foreign, and Mexico probably doesn't want that, but we have to do what's right. They're killing our people. They're killing 250, 300,000 American people a year. Not 100, like has been reported for 15 years. It's probably 300,000.
This is actually an executive order designating.
Yeah, so that's that. And yeah, no, it's 100% true, guys. He really, it's a disaster. Go ahead and switch back. I'm so glad he did this, because this is a strategic move. This allows for the National Guard to go after them. This allows for the law enforcement in Texas to be able to do whatever they need to do. It allows Tom Homan to carry out a much better operation against the cartels now that they're labeled foreign terrorist organizations, which I don't know why President Biden didn't do it. I mean, it's not like he would have done it himself anyway, because he doesn't have a clue what's going on. But it's crazy that it's so blatantly anti-American that you have these people who are killing American citizens with their imports not being labeled as terrorist organizations. I think that's absolutely ludicrous, and I'm so glad that President Trump is in now to be able to do that. And then now we have a tweet from Christian Hines, one of my friends. he posted this clip of Donald Trump signing an executive order about birthright citizenship. So go ahead and play the clip.
This next order relates to the definition of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment of the United States.
Good. That's a good one. Birthright. That's a big one.
What about that one in the course? That one is likely to be challenged.
Could be. We think we have good grounds, but you could be right. I mean, you'll find out. It's ridiculous. We're the only country in the world that does this with birthright, as you know. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, we'll see. We think we have very good grounds.
Sir,
People have wanted to do this for decades.
Sir, this is a proclamation declaring a national emergency.
So that was that for the birthright citizenship. This is going to be very, very controversial going into the future. Go ahead and switch back. This was very controversial in the beginning. We don't even know if this is going to hold up constitutionally. The Trump campaign and their kind of argument is saying that an illegal coming here and having a child here and that child being an American citizen isn't what the founding fathers intended that amendment to necessarily do. And so that'll be held up in the courts. And we'll see how that plays out. But that's a big deal because that's going to stop a lot of illegal immigrants from immigrating here illegally, because that's one of the caveats when you're immigrating illegally. People just think, oh, yeah, if I come and I have kids here, they can be U.S. citizens. But now that that's in place, that's going to really help just curb illegal immigration altogether. 100% is definitely going to help with that. And also, the CBP One app was actually just taken down. I actually want you to go ahead and look it up all the way on the left tab. The CBP One app. I'm going to have you look that up really quick, and we're going to actually play something from that. This was really crazy because, yeah, go ahead and put that in. Just go ahead and put that up. We could switch over. Yeah, this is a really powerful image because you clearly see that all of these people had appointments, and you see the presidential seal on it. I guess that's the one from the president of the United States. It's like on the app that just covers their entire screen. So like they were on the screen, and I guess the second Trump was inaugurated, like not even that long after, they just stopped the use. And so basically they just put the seal over everybody's screen, and that's it. And they can't use the app anymore, and all of their appointments are basically invalid. And that's it for them, at least. And that's going to also curb illegal immigration by a pretty considerable amount. And now we're going to go ahead and switch back to me. We're going to go ahead and play the next clip that we have to get to. This was already done. That one was already done as well. Let's go ahead and go to the next clip. I believe it's the next one that we're going to. Yeah, the WHO organization. So go ahead and switch, and then we'll play.
I can live with most of them. They took a very safe route. They don't have any bad ones up there.
Withdrawing from
What is this one?
Withdrawing from the World Health Organization. Sir.
Ooh, that's a big one. I can live with most
Yeah,
of
so
them.
this was a big deal because this was kind of due to like COVID and whatnot and stuff like that. This was a massive problem. Switch back. This was a really, really big problem back then. And this is kind of the whole move because of COVID. A lot of Americans after COVID didn't really trust these organizations. President Trump also didn't really trust this organization either. And so that was a really big problem at the time. But now that he's departing from them. We no longer have to worry about them. And that kind of will really just stop the whole freak out if a pandemic ever comes back at some point. Now, looking at this, it says, in the final hours of his presidency on January 20th, 2025, President Joe Biden issued a series of preemptive pardons and commutations, a move he described as necessary to protect individuals from unjustified and politically motivated prosecution. So now he's complaining about political prosecutions. And it says here, President Biden pardoned 5 members of his family: James Biden, his brother, Francis Biden, brother, Sarah Biden, sister-in-law, wife of James, Valeria Biden Owens, which is his sister. And we also have John Owens, brother-in-law. So that's absolutely ridiculous. We also have other people, Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, and members of the staff of the House Select Committee on the January 6th attack, otherwise known as the Unselect Committee, as President Trump refers to them as. And we also see commutation of Leonard Piller's sentence. So that's also that too. He was in prison for nearly 5 decades for the 1975 killings of 2 FBI agents. And apparently he's also free now. So yeah, a person who said that, oh my God, Trump, if he ever pardoned his family, that would have been so bad, just decided to pardon his entire family, despite them not having any crimes. Clinton in the 90s had a brother who was in jail, and he served his time, but he got pardoned after he served his time. I think that's fair. The same thing as well with, I believe it was Jimmy Carter. His brother committed tax evasion. He did his time, and then he was pardoned after. Even Hunter Biden, I don't agree the way that Biden went about it, but I think that it was still respectable that he did it for his son, because it's his son and he's the president of the United States. I just wish he had came out and said, guys, it's my son. I can't live with myself if I don't do this. And the guy actually had crimes on him. But when you pardon people who haven't committed any crimes, quote unquote, it just is an admission of guilt, because everybody who's been pardoned before has actually committed a crime. I think this is the first president that has actually issued pardons to a lot of people on a large scale that really necessarily haven't had any like official, records of crimes. So that's really, really bad from an optics standpoint. This makes Biden leaving his presidency an absolute disgrace at this point. We can actually pull up the what you have on the screen here, and if you click the image there on the right, it's the official statement: executive grant of clemency, Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States, and it says these are all the pardons he gives for any nonviolent offenses against the United States which they may have committed or taken a part of during the period of January 1st, 2014. And 2014 is the year where Hunter started getting involved with Ukraine and the overseas business deals that he was doing. So that's also another big thing that people have noticed. A lot of these pardons go from 2014 and onward. And so that's also really, really interesting to look at. But it doesn't matter that he pardoned his family. This just overall is going to look like an absolute disgrace by the end of it. Let's move on to the next clip here that we have. Just go ahead and click the next tab. And we'll see up here that this is 3 minutes of Democrats saying presidential pardons are not good. So go ahead and just play the clip.
Have you ever heard of somebody getting a preemptive pardon who was innocent of all crime? Who's just an innocent person? Have you ever heard of that? Just somebody getting a blanket pardon and they're an innocent person?
But no, it's the president's own family. It's people that have been covering up for the president in addition to his own family.
Is there an innocent explanation for someone to seek preemptive pardons for family members? Would you do that if you knew you were innocent and just worried about outside forces?
The answer to that is going to be no. If you haven't done anything wrong, you sit there and go, what do you need a preemptive pardon for?
If he pardons people preemptively, he's essentially telling the public that these people have committed crimes. And we may not be aware of what they are, but the pardon is clear evidence that crimes have been committed.
I imagine if he decides to
This was during Trump's administration when they were saying this about his kids, by the way. So this isn't from now. This is them criticizing the potential discussion of Trump pardoning all his children, which at the end he decided not to because he said, I don't need to give myself or any of my family a pardon because we're not guilty. But I think he egged on the media on purpose to get this out of them so that Trump knew that Biden was going to do those pardons for his family. So he got the media to say this by having leaks come out of these pardons happening so that in the future he could have the moral authority against everybody. So keep playing the clip.
Pardons. It will be cast in a way that he is protecting his family and protecting their reputations from, villainous exterior forces that are against him.
First off, we should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity of a president who's so clearly concerned about his own criminal culpability and that of his family members that pardons are a major obsession with him.
The idea of a kind of prospective pardon, this sort of permanent federal get-out-of-jail-free card. That seems to be what we're talking about in the case of this, right, with Giuliani and his 3 eldest children who, as far as we know, have not been convicted of a crime. Maybe they've committed a lot, and they don't want to face action. I don't know. It's weird. I wouldn't ask for a pardon. I don't think I deserve one because I don't think I've done anything criminal. But, like, where does that come from, that concept that you can just kind of wave your magic pardon wand?
We have Tish James. We have Xavier Becerra. Mimi Roca is literally my DA in my town. There will be opportunities to prosecute these people regardless if they abuse the pardon power as they are thinking.
Hopefully, Ellie, there will be a skyfall on this entire crime family, and there will be another day for them to die.
The president does indeed pardon, let's say, Rudy Giuliani or any members of his family. Would you see that, and I asked Preet Bharara this question, as essentially an admission of guilt?
I certainly would view it that way. I think millions of Americans would view it that way. If there was no belief in criminality, why would he think a pardon was necessary?
CNN has learned President
So
Biden.
from that's it for that. So right out of their mouths, they think that a pardon for an innocent person is just instantly an admission of guilt. So they believe. So in this case, if Biden did the same thing, they would basically have to have the same belief. And again, if we just play this short clip right now, we'll just see that Biden is going to say this.
Also, sir, on pardons, have you ruled out a pardon for yourself or any other additional members of the family?
For myself?
Yes, sir.
What would I pardon myself for?
That's what I'm asking.
No, I have no contemplation of pardoning myself for anything. I didn't do anything wrong.
Mr. President, would you comment on Meta's decision to...
Also, sir, on pardons.
So there's that saying, basically denying that he would pardon himself, but he actually conveniently ignored the question about his children also facing a pardon, which he did end up pardoning a lot of his siblings or anybody at the end of the day. Now, the last thing I want to cover before it ends, before we end the podcast, is the TikTok ban. Very quickly, we see here that the TikTok CEO has this statement to make. Go ahead and play the clip.
Everyone is show here. As you know, we have been fighting to protect the constitutional right to free speech for the more than 170 million Americans who use our platform every day to connect, create, discover, and achieve their dreams. On behalf of everyone at TikTok and all our users across the country, I want to thank President Trump for his commitment to work with us to find a solution that keeps TikTok available in the United States. This is a strong stand for the First Amendment and against arbitrary censorship. As we've said, TikTok is a place where people can create communities, discover new interests, and express themselves, including over 7 million American businesses who earn a living and gain new customers using our platform. We are grateful and pleased to have the support of a president who truly understands our platform, one who has used TikTok to express his own thoughts and perspectives, connecting with the world and generating more than 60 billion views of his content in the process. To all American users, thank you for making our TikTok community such a rich and vibrant space, for surprising and delighting us every day. Rest assured, we will do everything in our power to ensure our platform thrives as your online home for limitless creativity and discovery, as well as a source of inspiration and joy for years to come. Thank you. More to come.
So that's the clip from the TikTok CEO basically saying, hey, you know, we don't want this to happen, but thank you to President Trump for the support. This is something that people hadn't talked about when the ban was coming up. Why I think the ban was going to happen. This was around the time when Ryan Garcia started talking about Bohemian Grove and started touching a lot of topics that were really scary for people. And the second he started talking about it, that's when the whole TikTok ban was just randomly brought up by the Biden administration out of thin air during the election year. And on top of that, President Trump was utilizing TikTok to his advantage to basically outrun against TikTok. There was a lot more pro-Trump content on TikTok than there was pro-Biden. And there was a lot more pro-RFK Jr. TikTok content than there was pro-Biden content. For obvious reasons, Trump and RFK resonated with young voters significantly more than Biden was ever going to anyway. And so that is the really big thing with that group. as of right now. That was just that whole banning situation. President Trump back in 2020 was facing that decision because there were actual security. There was a bunch of hacking that was going on that year through TikTok. That was a major issue that year. And so because of that, that's why he went about that TikTok ban in the first place. A lot of people, including myself, feel that Biden's ban of TikTok was a lot more partisan. It was a lot more politically motivated, considering that Trump was performing significantly better on the platform and that Ryan Garcia was bringing up Bohemian Grove. And this is also a place where you actually saw like Israel and the Hamas war play out. It was interesting because this was also a place where you saw a lot of content where people were going after Israel for faking a lot of videos of dead children and whatnot. And again, I'm not confirming that any of these videos were in fact doing that, but you had a lot of content that was not necessarily very pro-Israel at the time because a lot of the TikTok base was pro-Palestine and whatnot. And so because of that I think were the major reasons why Biden's administration was just going to go through with the TikTok ban altogether. And so that is it for this video. We covered the 2024 election overview, the inauguration of President Trump, the executive orders he signed, some other things as well, and the TikTok ban. TikTok is back for people to use now. I think he's giving about a 60 to 90-day grace period. President Trump is, and he wants to do a deal where the U.S. has half and, Singapore has half, essentially, or China has half. And so if you guys did enjoy this podcast, make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe. If you want more content just like this, leave a comment down below. If you guys want to give your thoughts or see what you want to see next, say what you want to see next on the show. And I will see you guys in the next video.